I keep telling you guys that I am long on Bordeaux these days. So for this wine club shipment, I'm putting my money where my mouth is, and I'm bringing you a gorgeous, lovely Bordeaux from the Haut Medoc from Chateau de l'Église Vieille. This is a blend, as most of these wines in this region are, most Bordeaux blends are, a predominantly Cabernet Sauvignon, but you're going to find a little Merlot, a little bit of Cabernet Franc, maybe a handful of Petit Verdot in there. Why am I long on Bordeaux? Well, it's not because Bordeaux is like doing anything unusual or new and exciting in the way some other regions and producers are. Bordeaux is just one of these places that I think has become so classic that people started to forget how good it was. And I think we're using that to our advantage as wine connoisseurs. And in my own life in particular, it's where I'm finding great value. Like in the way that, Chanel, for example, right? Chanel is always going to be a classic. And maybe for a while we kind of slept on it because we thought, hey, we've got these other designers out there. Let's chase them. But at the end of the day, Chanel's a classic. It never dies. It's always going to be great. And that's the way that I feel about Bordeaux. So that's why I wanted to bring this to you guys because one, it's a classic, but also these wines are such an incredible value. I think people think of Bordeaux as being very Chanel-esque in price, and most of them aren't. Most of them are very reasonable and really well made. And I have to tell you, the insider baseball of it all is that there's a lot of it right now. So you're getting screaming deals, great values all across the board. And these particular wines are not wines that need 20, 30 years of age on them, like a first or second or third growth Bordeaux. These are wines that are ready to enjoy now. They're ready to enjoy just right out of the bottle in your glass, throw a steak on the grill, and feel a little bit elevated, but not like you're breaking the bank. And that's kind of where I'm at. So if you're looking for an alternative to like your Côte de Rhône or something that's, really kind of easygoing Tuesday night dinner wine, I urge you to start looking to wines like this. So let's jump into what we're finding in the glass. So immediately, this is screaming Bordeaux, right? Those gravelly soils that are giving you all of that great kind of pencil shaving, that just little bit of like a little bit of tar, a little bit of leather, great dark kind of black brambly fruit. And I have to tell you, 2021, one of the reasons that I love this vintage is that it wasn't a particularly easy vintage. It was a cooler vintage. And I think you're getting a lot of those really lovely umami, savory flavors, as opposed to some of those bigger, more brambly fruits that you get in warmer vintage or in regions like Napa Valley. But she is decidedly Cabernet through and through with very structured but soft tannins. So what I mean by that is that the wine is giving broad shoulders, but they're like sleek broad shoulders. This is a muscular wine, but it's an easy wine to drink. It's a wine that has a ton of character. I love blends like this because every time you go back to it, you're going to find just a little something different. And as it opens, it's going to change and it's going to shift and it's going to give you different things. So definitely let this be a wine that you sit with a little bit. I would urge you to maybe not drink this at room temperature. Maybe get it in the fridge for at least 15, 20 minutes to get a very gentle chill on it, and then enjoy it outside. Let it come back up to temperature and it'll be just fine. But right now, I think this wine is drinking a little too warm for my liking. And though it is delicious, I know it could be so much better. You're going to find that in addition to all of those great fruits in there, there's also all of these great spices. And that's to me where Bordeaux gets really interesting and more interesting than places like California. You get none of the green bell pepper. There's no pyrazine in there. It's just spices. And it's this big spice box of things that I think are going to be really fun for you to kind of scratch around and find and have a little fun with. So if you are cooking with this wine, which I hope you are, run into your spice cabinet and start smelling things and see if you can find them in the wine. I bet you're going to find things like thyme, things like oregano, probably some bay leaf in there. You're probably going to find a lot of black pepper, all of the things that you might associate with your cooking, especially when you're dealing with red meat. You're going to find that in the glass. And I think you're really going to enjoy finding those kind of mirroring flavors and aromatics within each other. But do me a favor, please have this wine with food. This is not a wine that I think should be enjoyed. You can definitely do it if you want, but I definitely think this is a wine that you should enjoy with a nice long dinner, preferably with some friends or family, and really just remind them that Bordeaux is just one of these great places. And speaking of which, for this episode, I will be fresh off of a trip to Bordeaux, which is another reason I decided to include this in the shipment. I'm heading to Bordeaux tomorrow. Actually, I'm recording this video now, but I will be heading there tomorrow and I'll be there with some friends. So expect a little recap episode of the region. I know a lot of you have been asking me for tips and tricks in Bordeaux. If you cannot wait until that episode comes out, I do have an episode with Aaron Pott on Bordeaux, so you can catch that if you want to find some of those tips and tricks from him, of which there are so many. But I will be doing sort of a roundup, a wrap up of our trip, some of the places that I found. I have not been back to Bordeaux in about a decade, so I'm very excited to see the city again. I'm excited to see the region. It's one of my favorite places to visit. So catch that episode when it comes out and enjoy the wine.